This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week we have something special for you. My university has an event called Spotlight, and every year it spotlights and highlights excellent teachers. I was fortunate to be part of this event, and what we're going to share with you today is one of the fanciest presentations I've ever given. My presentation is going to be about my experiences with failure and how they inform my teaching, and I hope you enjoy.
My name is Tucker Jones, and I am a doctoral candidate within the Department of Psychological Sciences. I am also the coordinator for the TLC Professional Development Series. When Don asked me to introduce him at this year's Spotlight event, I thought he was joking. But the look on his face and his awaiting fist bump let me know that he was actually being very serious. Don is one of the finest teachers I have ever met. He is passionate about teaching, and his excitement for his field is contagious. Don is also on my supervisory committee, so I'm going to find a few other things to say about him. Nice things. Not only is Don an excellent teacher, he is also passionate about helping others become excellent teachers themselves. In fact, many of the graduate students Don has mentored over the years have gone on to become award-winning instructors and faculty members. And rather than talk about the ways in which Don has helped me in the classroom, I want to take the opportunity to share with you some of the ways Don has helped his former students to excel. Jessica McManus writes that Don saw through my anxieties about public speaking and gave me daily pep talks when I first started teaching. He advocated for me when teaching opportunities opened up in the department. Without his support, I would not be the confident, energetic, and engaging professor I am today. Connor O'Day writes that Don transformed the way that I think about teaching from a perspective of sharing knowledge with students to a perspective of collaborating with students on their own learning. Russ Webster writes that I think of all the things Don has impressed upon me is that teaching is storytelling, and we are in fact storytellers. Amanda Martins writes that Don taught me because he modeled it every day that you show up and you give 100% of what you have to give. You have to be in the moment, you have to give everything you've got, and you have to show up for your students each and every time. And finally, Jericho Hockett said that I once heard a grad student quote author Jim Butcher in reference to another's uncomfortably terrible presentation, saying that you don't have to run faster than the bear to get away, you just have to run faster than the guy next to you. But when it comes to teaching, Don taught me to be the bear. It is my honor to introduce our final speaker tonight, so please help me in welcoming my mentor, my colleague, and my friend, Dr. Don Saucier.
I'm not going to lie, it's hard to talk now after heard that. I'm a little choked up for a second. I am so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that all of you are here to support teaching and learning at K-State. I'm so thrilled to be part of this event at Spotlight this year, and I love that we have a theme. And I love that that theme is failure because I'm really good at that. And I think that failure is something we need to talk about. I think it's something we need to share. I think it's something that we can learn from. And I am just thrilled to follow some courageous colleagues who talked about their perspectives and experiences with failure with all of us tonight. I think there are two big reasons that we should talk about failure. The first of those is we should normalize failure. We should understand that failure is common. And I'm not saying we should try to fail. But I'm saying we should understand that failure is common, and it does not necessarily indicate, as long as we're putting in our good effort, it does not necessarily indicate that we are undeserving of or unqualified for our positions and our responsibilities. The second big reason I think that we should talk about failure is that we can learn from it. Through trial and error, we can learn from our own failure. Failure is basically data collection. But, and this is really interesting, psychological theories of social learning actually suggest we learn more efficiently from other people's failures than we do from our own. And I want to share with you a little bit of what I've learned from my colleagues tonight. First of all, I learned that we all fail. All of the individuals in this picture talked about their experiences with failure, and all of these are amazing individuals. So when amazing individuals share their failure with me, it inspires me to think that, hey, maybe I can be amazing too. I also learned that failures have consequences. We heard some tragic stories tonight. We heard when failure really went wrong, when failure literally hurts. We want to avoid failure, but our failure provides us with data that allows us to do so. Because the third thing I've learned from my colleagues tonight is that great teachers learn from their failures. They use it as that data collection, and they inform themselves to make better decisions moving forward. And we can share that with our students. So while I've learned a lot from all of the failures that have been shared with me tonight, I've also done it a lot for my own opportunities because I fail a lot. I mess up a lot. And I try to learn from my mess ups, and I try to find new and interesting ways to mess up. But when I find those mistakes, I use those mistakes to teach my students. And I don't do it so that they will have less respect for me as a mentor or a teacher. I do it so they'll understand this is part of the learning process. So I'm going to share with you some of my failures that I share with my students. First of all, I share with my first-year students that in my first semester of college, I missed 50 classes. That's 50. 50 classes in the first semester. I also let them know that in that same first year of college, that allegedly, as a member of the college track team, I streaked through this library wearing nothing but bikini underwear. Allegedly, they never caught me. I share these stories with them to show that sometimes we're successful despite the choices we make and despite the behaviors that we emit, and we can potentially go on to other successful things. I share with my research students that it's hard to publish. I'll tell them the first article that I submitted, one of the reviewers called my work unambitious. I tell them at this point in my career, I've had more than 200 outright rejections of manuscripts that I've submitted. And I also share with them that my most highly cited article to date was accepted only after it was rejected 7 times. For my students on the job market and finding it being highly competitive and not being successful right away, I shared with them, and this story is unbelievable even to me, that coming out of graduate school, I applied to 40 tenure track positions and somehow got 41 rejections. I know about failure, and I can share this with my students. But failure can also be inspiration for our success. And it's actually a failure that inspired me to be a social psychologist. And this is a story I tell on my first day of class. When I was in college, I was a day camp counselor. It was the end of the day. My kids and I had done all the things. We'd been to the pool, we'd played sports, we'd done crafts. We were hanging out at the park, being bored, waiting for their parents to come and pick them up. So I was with my group. There's about 15 of them, ages about 10 to 12, and we were just sitting there. And one of the kids asked about my T-shirt. I was wearing a T-shirt with a hurdler on it. A couple of you know where this might go. So, hurdler on my T-shirt. The kid asked, "What's on your T-shirt?" I said, "A hurdler." He said, "What do hurdlers do?" I said, "They run really fast and jump over stuff." He said, "Why are you wearing that shirt?" I said, "I'm a hurdler." He said, "Okay." And he pointed. And he said, "Can you jump over that trash can?" This is not the trash can. The trash cans at the park were not as cool as our trash cans at K-State. He said, "Can you jump over that trash can?" And I looked at the trash can and I said, "Yes, but I don't want to." And the kids, because the other kids were now chimed in, started to tease me and say that I couldn't do this and say that I was scared and called me chicken, right? Now, this is not peer pressure. These are not my peers. I'm actually an authority figure. I am charged with their safety and well-being, right? There is no peer here. But my self-concept was challenged in a domain that I highly valued at the time. And I felt the need to show them that I could jump over this trash can because I was really good at hurdling. I'm in my high school's Hall of Fame. In college, I was conference champion in the 110-meter high hurdles. So I said, I'm going to do this thing. I wasn't completely stupid. I warmed up a little bit. I loosened up. And I approached the trash can. Now, just in case you may not know, I got to provide a little context about what hurdling is about. What you do is you run really fast, you jump over stuff, and then you run really fast, and you rinse and repeat. What you need to do is get back down on the ground as quickly as you can. Because while you're in the air, you're decelerating, you're losing speed. So thousands upon thousands of practice and competition repetitions taught me that as soon as your lead leg, the one in front, goes over the edge of the hurdle, you put it back down on the track. We call it snapping it down. So what happened is as soon as my lead leg cleared the front edge of the trash can, because while a hurdle is only an inch deep, a trash can is a couple feet deep, I snapped my lead leg down, not over, but into the trash can. My trail leg, the back leg, was in this position. So I took the edge of the trash can very violently at high velocity into a very soft area of my body. I tumbled down in a heap. I'm sure I screamed, I probably cried. It hurt so much I couldn't see, and I was covered in trash. And my kids started to laugh at me. So I put them all on timeout, and I took a moment to reflect as I cleaned up the trash. And it occurred to me that they had a lot of power and social influence over me. Despite not being my peers, they had a lot of power and social influence over me. My self-concept at the time was just vulnerable enough that them not thinking I could do something that was important to me, I had to show them. I had to do that thing. And I realized that people sometimes do really stupid things around and with other people. And I later discovered that's what social psychology is. It's the study of people doing stupid things. And in reality, that inspired my career as a social psychologist, where I study why people do stupid things they shouldn't do, like prejudice and aggression. I tell this story on my first day of class to let them know that the person teaching their class is human. That the person teaching their class has had failure and has learned from them, and then they might do it too. So even in that first year, you might do some things that you're not proud of. But there's going to be some opportunity for you to learn, because failure is a big part of my teaching. When I say teaching, I don't mean just teaching in an online environment or in a classroom. I mean mentoring and advising and all of the other ways that we inform, guide, interact with, and collaborate with our students. And I think that sharing our failures with them as a vehicle for personal and professional development is an amazing way to not only establish rapport, but teaching them lessons that go far beyond our own academic disciplines. I don't love failure, but I love using failure to teach. And I think events like this are really important so we can normalize failure and we can keep talking about it. Because while teaching is the best thing we do, it's also one of the hardest. And I think if we can use this conversation, what we can do is use failure as inspiration for our teaching success. Thank you for coming to Spotlight tonight. I am thoroughly thrilled to be with all of the wonderful presenters we had. I've learned a lot, and I want to thank all of you not only for supporting our event tonight, but for all of the efforts that you do in promoting teaching, learning, mentoring, advising, and administration at Kansas State University. And I end by saying that I'm Don Saucier, and like many of you, I am proud to say that I teach at K-State. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed hearing about my experiences with failure and how they inform my teaching. In the comments below, I would love to hear about your experiences with failure and how they inform your teaching. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.